I'm going to have a lot of experts in this case, Dan. And the first thing is going to be to undercut the cell phone ping evidence, which, quite frankly, is not that strong. So it sounds like cell phones, GPS, all of that. The pinging of the cell tower is really easy to undercut from a defense perspective because it only puts someone in the general vicinity. It doesn't give an exact location. So you want to try and undercut that evidence. Of course, the DNA evidence, the knife sheath, that's going to be contested. The way it was obtained and whether or not it's accurate, the veracity of that. I'm also going to be talking about how Kohberger lives in the area. To the extent that he's been around this house, he's caught on the video. Well, look, he lives in the area. Maybe he has other reasons to be there. Plausible explanations for why he's there. There's also been a lot of talk about mental state. There is no insanity defense, and quite frankly, I think based on what we know right now, an insanity defense, even in a state where it existed, would be impossible to raise. But mental state could be important, especially if they're foreshadowing a death penalty case.
Got one more recommendation. Make sure to tell him not to say anything to any of the inmates while he's locked up, because we've seen that be a death sentence, really a bad problem for defendants before. And I think everybody's observing his behavior. But I think you hit on a number of different things, but also say, what does the prosecution not have? So like we talked about, they don't have the murder weapon. His phone was turned off and didn't ping him in the location of these murders during that time frame. And so I think they would try to strike on that.
I think it's very unfair that the judge is not allowing the victims' families to speak out. I can understand the lawyers, et cetera, but I think there's something fundamentally unfair about that.
I would agree with you, except what we saw at the beginning of this case when. And I completely understand people's feelings, but there was a lot of communication that was coming out from the family. There was miscommunication that was coming out from the prosecutor's office that conflicted with the sheriff's department. We were all confused. One side was saying one thing, one side was saying another before you even had a suspect. My concern would be if you take away that gag order, it might jeopardize.
But again, you don't have to remove the entirety of the gag order. You can just make it not so sweeping. I mean, the Gonsalves family saying, quote, "We're confident that once the decision is made in the above, that Mr. Gray will once again be able to speak on our behalf," meaning their lawyer. "He will continue to address any concerns our family has while continuing to hold the investigators, prosecutors, and all parties accountable as the family supports the prosecution of Mr. Kohberger. Finally, we firmly believe it was the coverage by the media of the victims' families, numerous witnesses, and undeniable evidence that led to an arrest in this case."
Yeah, this gag order is really expansive and very unusual.
Yeah.
And I think it's because the judge is just in this position where all of these high-profile cases, there's so much scrutiny on what the judge does before when it comes to gag orders, when it comes to moving venue, whatever it might be, that they're trying to protect the investigation and ultimately a jury pool.
But typically a judge, judges tend to err on the side of saying, yeah, just everyone be quiet, but there are constitutional principles in play as well that, for example—
And it's usually carved out.
Yeah, the media here is challenging the breadth of this gag order.
Wouldn't it be kind of hard, though, to nitpick what people are saying in each interview? I'll tell you right now, there was statements that were made at the beginning about the injury sustained by Ms. Gonsalves. And I interviewed different forensic experts who said, it doesn't make sense what these people are saying. I don't know if they misheard what was told to them. I don't know if it was miscommunication. And I think that's the problem. We don't want to be in that area, Dan.
I also think we don't know what we don't know, right? The judge sees everything. And we know that part of the reason for redacting those warrants was because of a public safety concern. That's what was raised by the prosecution, to keep all of those warrants under seal. So could there be something more?
Well, see, I'm okay with parts of the warrant that are going to become evidence, right, redacting portions. I'm okay even in certain cases with saying I don't want the prosecution and defense talking about the case publicly. Once you start getting into witnesses and telling people, particularly victims' families, what they can and can't say, then I start getting uncomfortable. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.